Hello, everyone. My name is Yanni, and today I want to talk about the cognitive load theory in language education, the power of worked example. And my agenda is let you to understand how worked example work in language learning. So first of all, cognitive load theory is developed by John Swaller in late 1980s, and it's actually focused on how human brain process based on working memory and long-term memories. And working memory can only hold a very small amount of information at once. And so as a student, we should try to avoid overloading during study process. The key some assumption for CLT is human working memory is limited in capacity and durations, and long-term memory can store knowledge in structured schemas. And learning involves building and automating those schemas. So there is actually three types of cognitive load. The first one refers to difficulty of learning task itself. And the second one refers to actual load caused by unreasonable teaching design, such as fancy information and slipped attention, sorry. And the last is refers to cognitive effort that contribute to learnings, such as organizing, summarizing. And for implications that teacher can help students to simplify complex information to manageable chunks. And a good use of worked example could guide beginners, and they can avoid redundant or distracting materials, also promote active learning and reflecting to support GMAS. And in real world, and this CLT is used in everywhere, every time, every minute use of study. So let's talk about work example in language education. So language learning is a high cognitive load test because requires many rules and complex changes of the times, tenses, and clauses, and also requires a lot in speaking and writing. Also, the learners are often getting trouble because they are not living in a English environment. So direct language output is easy cognitive overload because it can lead to mistransferency and anxiety of learnings. So worked example is effective cognitive load reduction because it's used the model of observe first, then eliminate later. And this model can reduce difficulty for new learners and also provide a clear pathway to learn. And so it's actually a very, very powerful tool for improving language learning outcomes. Here is more example. So teaching grammar of past perfect tense, it could involve a lot of complex tenses and abstract contents because it's quite confusing for new learners. And in application in daily life, the teacher could, instead of talking about the rules directly, and they could complete sentence are used to guide the learner. Such as this two sentence, the purple one is so much better to understand because it's visualized the sequence used a timeline and also complementary visual materials to illustrate the cause and effect of event. So during studies, adding a story or some visualized picture could be useful for beginners. And as a student, it's their study process is observation and then understand. And last but not least is the imitation on their further studies. Here's more example. And this is my personal example on taking IELTS exam task 2, which is a argumentative essay. And I find it's very helpful for teacher to teach a writing framework. And so and me and student, we can have a very clear label of the essay, like how to write introduction and how many main paragraph I use, how to use transition words to advance the argument layers, and also how to use conclusion to rewrite my introduction and to clarify. So, as many scholars have said, that examples provide cognitive self-loading to support students' transition from imitation to independent compositions. So it's very important to have good examples in our daily studies. Here is my reference, and thank you for listening.